Alright, time to play some Cyberpunk. I've been waiting for this, man. Excited as hell. I got it all installed and it's ready to go. Alright. Now that I'm in Night City. NANI?! I'm taking this shit back. Welcome back. First off, I'm just gonna apologize. I did intend on having a skit earlier this week. However, unfortunately, that's gonna be a little bit late. So I'll end up having that sometime next week. And today you're getting this. So I never had any intention on making this video. I felt like there was enough information out there for people to kind of form their own opinions in regards to this topic, but it has been so controversial in every regard and has pretty much been the talk of the week since it released that I just decided to just give my opinions anyway. So, where to begin? So shortly before the release of this game, they sent out digital copies of this game for reviewers, Twitch streamers, YouTubers, stuff like that. Early copies of the game, basically. However, they were not given, or at least to my knowledge, no one was given any copies of the console versions of the game. PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and PS5, to my understanding. Now, because of that, they were also given the indication that they were not allowed to really showcase any of their own footage for the reviewers. Unless you were a streamer and you were playing the game, then you could obviously give your playthrough of the game after the embargo was lifted. But for reviewers, you weren't allowed to really showcase any of your own footage. Now, at the time, I guess everybody kind of figured, it's just to avoid spoilers and stuff like that. But as time progressed, I think we all have realized exactly why they weren't allowed to show any of their own footage. They were only allowed to really use footage that was provided by CDPR and all of their Night City Wire videos and, you know, stuff of that nature in regards to how the development process of the game went. Now, we later found out that they weren't finished with the last gen versions of the game for the PS4 and the Xbox One. Now, a lot of the reviewers, from their perspective, since they couldn't release their own footage, they could only talk about it, and for a lot of the reviews that I saw, a lot of them enjoyed the game. They enjoyed the gameplay, they enjoyed the story, they enjoyed the Night City and its environments, they enjoyed the core aspect of what made the game what it was. However, on the other hand of that, they did say that the game was riddled and filled with bugs. Now, this didn't really hinder my interest in the game. I was still excited to play the game. I still wanted to experience myself. I'm the type of person where you could talk about a game all day long, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, but until I actually experience the game for myself, that's when I actually form my own opinion about it. So I'd rather play the game, I'd rather purchase the game, play the game, experience it for myself, and then give my 2 cents in regards to how I feel about the game. I will say that fast forward to release, it turns out they were working on the console versions right up until release, pretty much, which to me, that was kind of sketch. I'm not gonna lie. Now, there were a lot of things that they did and said along the development process, especially within the last year, that kind of hinted at, you know, iffiness with the development process. There were a lot of things they said that were sketch. Things like when they talked about crunch, and they kind of took shots at other companies in regards to how they handle crunch and basically stated that they don't treat their employees that way. And then they ended up, you know, putting all their employees under crunch. And we all understand that crunch is a normal part of a development process. I get that. However, for a company to say that they don't do something like that, or to take shots at other companies for doing something like that, but then turn around and do it themselves, yeah, that's kind of sketch on their end. Now, this game was announced way back in like 2012, 2013. It was announced years ago, around the release time of the last gen consoles, the PS4 and the Xbox One. So you would like to think that the development process of this game, especially over the course of 7 or 8 years, is enough time to really flesh out the game the way you feel it should be and polish it. But unfortunately, that was not the case at all. And it was supposed to originally release in March of this year. And come close to that release date, they delayed the game 6 months until, I believe it was September, if I'm not mistaken. And then come to that time frame, they ended up delaying the game again until November, and then delaying the game a third time from November till December 10th, which was when the game was released. So after the release of the games, we come to find out that, yes, the bugs are prevalent. The bugs are there. The glitches are there. Stuff of that nature. The issues are prevalent. But the PS4 and the Xbox One versions of the game were the highlight, I guess, of all of the issues and the problems and all of the controversy that surrounded this game. There was a lot of hype built up around this game over the course of the last few years in regards to its development. A lot of people had high hopes and expectations for this game, especially after what Witcher 3 had become. Now, I do believe that CDPR did have a reputation for creating good RPG games, especially after what they did with the Witcher series. However, I also think that because of that hype, that led to high expectations of the game, which resulted in the unfortunate nature of what we got, or at least some of us anyway. If you're playing on last gen console, pretty much you're not going to have a good time with the game. You're not really going to enjoy the game in its current state. Now, they did have a hotfix that was going to be releasing for the consoles and PC to follow, and they did have a huge day one patch that dropped for all versions of the game, essentially. That fixed some of the issues with the game, but some of the bugs were still there. Now, on the PS4 and Xbox One versions, it was not aesthetically pleasing. The game was riddled with a lot of bugs, a lot of glitches. Aesthetically, it didn't look good, it didn't perform well, just a lot of technical issues. I remember watching one video when I was performing my own tests. I had the PC version, where I was seeing the frame rate drop to literally the single digits in some scenarios, and I thought that was insane. Just insane. Obviously, you can't play a game that way. You're basically just looking at a slideshow. I was watching like a side-by-side comparison of the PS4 and the PS4 Pro versions of the game. Now, the base PS4 was locked at 30 FPS, where the Pro could get up to 60 FPS. However, it fluctuated a lot. Both versions did. And like I said, there was droppage in the frame rate down to the single digits, or the teens essentially, and it was just bad. So shortly after that, CDPR released a apology, basically stating that they apologized for all the issues that the game that was having, and that they were going to try their best to rectify it, basically. They had stated that there were going to be patches that were going to come out. Basically a hotfix, for one, for the console versions, and there's going to be a major patch in January and a major patch in February. Now, that apology went as follows. Dear gamers, first of all, we would like to start by apologizing to you for not showing you the base game on last gen consoles before it premiered, and in consequence not allowing you to make a more informed decision about your purchase. We should have paid more attention to making it play better on PS4 and Xbox One. Second, we will fix the bugs and crashes and improve the overall experience. The first round of updates has just been released, and the next one is coming in the next 7 days, probably a little later, since a few days have passed since they released this. Expect more, as we will update frequently whenever new improvements are ready. After the holidays, we'll continue working and we'll release 2 large patches, starting with patch 1 in January. This will be followed by patch 2 in February. Together, these should fix the most prominent problems gamers are facing on last gen consoles. We will be informing you about the contents of each patch ahead of their release. They won't make the game on last gen look like it's running on a high-spec PC or next-gen console, but it will be closer to that experience than it is now. Finally, we would always like everyone who buys our games to be satisfied with their purchase. We would appreciate it if you would give us a second chance. We would always like everyone who buys our games to be satisfied with their purchase. We would appreciate it if you would give us a chance, but if you are not pleased with your game on your console and you don't want to wait for updates, you can opt for a refund of your copy. For copies purchased digitally, please use the refund system of PSN and Xbox respectively. For box versions, please first try to get a refund at the store where you bought the game. Should this not be possible, please contact us at the information here on the website or the email, and we will do our best to help you. Starting from today, you can contact us for a week up until December 21st, 2020. So obviously they released this sooner than I'm reading it, but basically what that tells me is that they're aware of the issues and they're going to do what they can to fix it, as they should. However, to me, it's like there's two sides to it. On one hand, I can understand and respect the fact that you're trying to fix the mistakes that you've made. The game is buggy. The game has problems. The game doesn't perform well on last gen consoles, but it performs decently well on new gen consoles and pretty decent on PC. However, on the other hand of things, it's like, why release a game in a broken state? On one hand, it's like, don't release a game broken. Put it out in its proper state. If we're paying $60, $70 for a game now, then we should get the game in working fashion, and we should get the full extent of the game at its best light. But on the other hand, it's like, we have to accept the fact that, yeah, they made their mistake and they're doing what they can to fix it. Some people can accept that, some people can't, and for the ones that can't, I can understand that. But in relation to this, when they first released this, not shortly thereafter, there were people posting images and screenshots of their conversation with Sony. And we all know how Sony is in regards to giving refunds. They don't, quite frankly. They don't. Microsoft, I've never really had an issue personally with trying to get a refund from Microsoft, and most people don't. But if you're trying to get a refund on PSN, nearly 100% of the time, it ain't gonna happen. I remember seeing one thing on Twitter where a guy had posted literally his entire conversation with someone on the PSN network, and they basically used their reasoning or excuse for not giving him a refund by stating that they plan on fixing the game, that CDPR plan on releasing patches to fix the game, therefore there's nothing wrong with the game, so they used that to justify not giving him a refund. And in seeing that, it was like, okay, that was expected of Sony. However, CDPR had just released a statement stating that if they wanted a refund, that the refunds would be honored and they would need to go to Microsoft or Sony in order to get it. But in doing so, and Sony saying no to most people, which basically means that they didn't have that cleared with Sony before they released that statement. Now, Sony did eventually agree to provide refunds to anybody who wanted it, but they also stated that they were going to be removing it from the PSN store until further notice. So I bought the game on PC, and I haven't really experienced anything game-breaking with the game that's prevented me from being able to play it. Yes, there are some bugs. I did experience some things such as at the beginning of the game, when Jackie was walking through a doorway, his guns were just sitting there floating in the doorway, but when I come around the corner behind him, he's standing in the, I guess, crouch position with the guns in his hands, pretty much. So just little things like that, I can feel and understand for the people who are playing it on last gen consoles that aren't enjoying the game. You paid $60 for a game and it's not in a very playable state, and I can understand people being upset over that. I would be too. But my experience on the game hasn't been anything groundbreaking, anything game-breaking for me. I have actually quite enjoyed the game, and I will continue to play the game and beat it. Now, I do believe that give this game about 4 to 6 months, and this game's gonna be great. It's gonna play fine. There's probably not gonna be as many bugs or glitches, or at least I would expect. However, in the same regard, I could understand how someone could argue, well, they just should have waited and released the game at that state instead of the state that it's in now, and I get that. But my experience with the game has been enjoyable. I'm enjoying the lore, I'm enjoying the story, I'm enjoying Night City, I'm enjoying the gameplay, I'm enjoying the core aspects of the game. I put quite a bit of time into the game, and I plan on finishing the game and replaying through the game as each of the different characters and backgrounds. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you expected out of the game, what versions of the game that you got, and how it's going for you. How's your playthrough going? I understand that it's different for everybody, whether you got it on PC, PS5, or Xbox Series X, or Xbox One and PS4. But for those of you who got it on last gen consoles, what is your opinions? For those who have it on current gen and PC platforms, what is your experience like? Let me know in the comment section below. I will have a skit coming out pretty soon after this, so keep in touch for that. Go ahead and hit the like button and the bell icon, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!